What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to another draft analysis, and this time it is for the WIFI Battle Academy. We are here hoping to be able to build a team to make the playoffs in this season. This is the best way to play competitive Pokemon, so if you guys are new to the channel, then make sure to leave a like on the video, and of course, subscribe to the channel as well. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. Now, the WIFI Battle Academy is a draft league where we essentially pick Pokemon from the pool available. Each Pokemon is given a certain point total, and we have to stay within a certain budget, and only we can use those Pokemon. Nobody else can use them, which is extremely critical in this situation here, because we want to be able to counter team our opponents and build the best team possible to ideally take home the title. Now, every Pokemon I mentioned has a point total assigned to them, and depending on if we want to be able to terrestrialize that Pokemon, we're given a certain budget. That budget is 25 points, and the most expensive Pokemon is 25 points. Now, this means that if we want to take a Pokemon like, for example, Fluttermane, which is 25 points, that is the only Pokemon that can terrestrialize. And we have given it the ability to either choose one of the two main stab types that it has, or the only stab type it would have, plus any other type in the game, which could also include the other stab type. Now, if you have multiple points, multiple Pokemon that you want to use, for example, if you want to do two Pokemon worth 10 points each and a Pokemon worth 5 points, you could do that. And you can also have points left over. So we had I think it was the 5th or 6th pick in the draft. I think it was the 6th pick in the draft. And I was really hoping to get something like Chien-Pao, Fluttermane, of course, which obviously wouldn't have gone. It was like the first overall pick. And my other option was Roaring Moon. And thankfully, I'm really happy about this, but Roaring Moon was indeed available for 24 points. This is our first overall pick. And you see here, we did opt to give it the Terrestrial ability. We have access to Terra Flying for the Acrobatic set and Terra Dark, because I think that running a Dark type is a bit more valuable than having a Dragon type. It also means that I don't have to go ahead and get another Dark type down the line if I decide to terrestrialize mid-game with my Roaring Moon, and then I just lose to any Psychic type Pokemon. I didn't want to have to deal with that. This Pokemon is insanely strong with 119 base speed is absolutely incredible. It's got a crazy high attack stat, ability to use booster energy, which is amazing with the photosynthesis. It can do so much for a team. It has momentum, it has recovery, it's got really decent special defense, which is actually insane to think about. And the reason why I think that this Pokemon will do better for me than Iron Valiant did in the BBR is because we're not kind of hyper focused on being a jack of all trades. Iron Valiant can be, whether it's a physical sweeper, a special sweeper, or breaker, or whatever, and it can be fast. It has no bulk at all, which means that it can't really set up as effectively. The fact that this is more focused on being physical, my opponents are going to have to really prioritize physical walls to be able to deal with Roaring Moon, especially unaware physical walls, and there aren't that many in the game, and majority of them still lose to booster energy acrobatics from Terra Flying Roaring Moon. It's absolutely crazy. One thing I did want to make sure that I pair with this Pokemon are Pokemon that can break through opposing fairy types and just really wear them down. And one of the Pokemon I felt was a really good combination with this, and shout out to my front office, of course, for all the suggestions, is going to be Moon Cinderace. This Pokemon was severely underpriced. I mentioned that Roaring Moon is 24 points. Moon Cinderace was 18 points. That's insane to think about. It can't terrestrialize, that's what it is, but having access to Gunk Shot and Sucker Punch and access to Super Fang to wear things down, momentum with U-Turn, Court Change is really nice as well. All these moves are really valuable to pair with a Pokemon like Roaring Moon. They do have the exact same speed at base 119, which is not great, but I do think the combination of these Pokemon pairs really well together, especially because Cinderace can blast through any Steel-type Pokemon, with even any fairy type Pokemon really with Pyro Ball that can just, well, threaten the Roaring Moon. And one thing I do like about the Cinderace opposed to like a Greninja, which is now in the game as well, Greninja, when it's running Protein, it has to change right away because there's no attack that is water and dark, so it always will change right away. If I am running, let's say, a heavy duty boots Cinderace and I go for Pyro Ball, the next time around when I go for like Sucker Punch, then my Protein will activate, and that is so important. I really like that a lot with Cinderace. Our next mon, though, I was really hoping to get the combination of Gholdengo and Glimmora, and I was like, you know what? More people have access to steel types, so because of that, I'm going to take Glimmora. Now, unfortunately, Gholdengo was sniped, and that really hurts, but I don't think it destroys our team too much, because Glimmora was super important. One of the issues I had with my old team in the BBR was that if I want to run hazards, I had to really dedicate like an offensive Pokemon to doing that, or run a low tier Pokemon. Glimmora just kind of sets up hazards just by being around, which is insane, and I love it as well because it can also remove them with Mortal Spin. On top of that, it's got really good base speed. I believe it's 86 or 84, something like that, and it also has access to 130 special attack with a really good coverage moveset. It's got like Dazzling Gleam, Earth Power, Rock Polish. It got access to, of course, Sludge Wave, Energy Ball as well. There's a lot of really good moves this Pokemon gets access to, with, of course, Rocks, Spikes, and Toxic Spikes, and, like I mentioned before, Mortal Spin. I just wish this Pokemon got access to Meteor Beam. I do think it's really good. I think it'll be better than Nihilego if that Pokemon ever comes to the game, and I'm really, really excited to use a Pokemon like Glimmora, both offensively and as a support Pokemon, which is just amazing. Next up, though, I was debating between a couple of Paradox Pokemon. I was debating between going with Iron Hands, and I was debating going between that and Slitherwing. Now, Slitherwing paired with the team really well. It gave me momentum, which is nice. Iron Hands also gives me momentum. The issue with Slitherwing is it kind of forces a lot of people to run like flying type attacks, and I don't really want to deal with flying type attacks, especially with Terra Flying being in the format, because it is a really, really hard hitting type. And I just felt like I didn't need the speed at base 81 for it. I felt like having access to a good electric type Pokemon was a bit more important in my mind. So because of that, I did go with Iron Hands. Now, Iron Hands offers me a great speed tier at base 50, and you might be saying, that's not good at all. However, on a slow pivot Pokemon like Iron Hands, that is incredibly valuable. It also allows me to run a really good physically or especially defensive Pokemon because it has an insane HP stat. I believe it's like 154, something like that, which is crazy to think about. Its attack stat is also sky high. The main issue I have with this Pokemon is outside of like Thunder Punch and Wild Charge, it has no good physical electric attacks, and Thunder Punch, calling that move good is like really stretching it. So you don't have the best options for electric stab. However, fighting moves, great. Ice Punch is awesome, having access to Earthquake, Play Rough as well. There's got really good coverage moves on a Pokemon like Iron Hands. It can just do a lot of good things for a team. It is one of the best Pokemon in VGC right now, and we're going to see how it performs in singles. Really excited to see what we can do with this Pokemon. Our next mon, though, I was saying, you know what? I really want to get this thing because we are not banning Shed Tail. We are not banning moves like Rage Fist and all that stuff like that. So I decided to say, you know what? Let's go ahead and get another amazing hazard setter in Orthworm. Now, I mentioned before, Shed Tail is legal. Now, this is not the best Shed Tail user in the format. Cyclozar was going like round 2, round 1, and that's crazy to think of to me because I used that Pokemon, and outside of, without Shed Tail, it is pretty bad. But Orthworm can be a really solid ground immunity with Earth Eater. That's amazing considering, look at my team right now. Everything is grounded, and I have 3 Pokemon weak to ground. There's no Mold Breaker or Earthquake I have to deal with, so I can just go Earth Eater, have an immunity built in, which is absolutely critical, with hazards, with Body Press, with Earthquake, with Heavy Slam, all these good moves there, and it just eats so many hits on both the physical and the special side. I think Orthworm's a fantastic Pokemon, and with Shed Tail, pairing that with a Booster Energy, Dragon Dance, Terra Flying, a Roaring Moon, or Libero Cinderace, or a Rock Polish Glimmora, or even a Bulk Up Iron Hands, I will be in such an amazing position. I love this combination right now on my team. I think right now the top 5 that I have are absolutely incredible. Next up, though, is going to be a bit more removal in the form of Serena. Now, the main reason we went Serena is because of the removal, but also because it offers me a way to break through opposing ground type Pokemon without having to rely on a Pokemon like my Orthworm to be able to take hits and have no recovery, or like my Roaring Moon. And I just feel like it's a bit better to have access to the Serena in this case. It did lose out on a couple of notable and important moves like Spinner, Triple Axle. Knockoff doesn't have that anymore, which really hurts it, but it still has access to U-Turn and Rapid Spin, High Jump Kick, which are all really solid. And I do find that this Pokemon offers quite a bit to a team, the main thing being Rapid Spin, so I don't have to run Mortal Spin on my Glimmora every single time I want to run a hazard removal option in a given week. I think that I could have gone with a better option for a grass type Pokemon or a better Pokemon in general, but what Serena provides to the team is incredibly valuable. Next up, though, oh, and by the way, Serena, I forgot to mention a couple points. Glimmora was 14 points, Iron Hands was 13 points, Orthworm and Serena are both 9 points. Next up, though, at 10 points, we went with Gardevoir. Now, Gardevoir we picked mostly because my buddy Tone has said, you know what, go with Gardevoir, take it. I love Gardevoir, it's a great Pokemon, and it is, he's right. The main gimmick, though, for it is a solid, really solid fairy type Pokemon. It's got decent speed at base 80. It's also a great special attacker. A lot of my team right now is physical outside of Glimmora and Gardevoir. Everything actually is physical. So it felt like I had to go with this Pokemon here. It does give me access to something like Healing Wish, which is amazing. And again, a really good fairy type Pokemon, which is nice. And ways to break through opposing steel types as a fairy is pretty far between to be able to get to. So I want to be able to get access to a Pokemon like Gardevoir, which has access to a lot of support moves, and most importantly, knockoff. The fact that this Pokemon gets a knockoff is so valuable because that is a big weakness for my team. I don't have a lot of knockoff users, so I want to have a Pokemon like Gardevoir, which can knock off random, like whether it's going to be a, the Koba Berry for the Terra Flying Salamence, or Roaring Moon, excuse me. I'm going to mention Salamence or Hariyama when I talk about Pokemon like the Paradox Mons. I just have it built into my brain. That's what they look like. Either way, it has a great coverage move pool, and it can do a lot of different things for a team. Great Scarfer, great Life Orb user, great defensive Wish Pokemon. There's a lot of good options for Gardevoir. Next up, though, we're going to kind of get into like Pokemon that are a bit more niche and offer a few more things, a lot fewer things than Pokemon like the Cinderace, the Glimmora, the Iron Hands, and the Roaring Moon. And we're going with another really good wall here. And honestly, I'm thrilled with this pick. I'm actually surprised it made it this far at pick number, 8 now? So we're going with Gastrodon. Now, Gastrodon is insane in this generation. It has one weakness. It has an immunity, 2 immunities at that, with the water type, with Storm Drain, and of course with electric type moves because of the ground typing. And if you're counting right now, I have so many immunities on my team, which is absolutely amazing. On top of that, it gets access to Hazards, Recovery, Clear Smog, Ice Beam, Earth Power, no Scald, but it does get Chilling Water, which is kind of like Scald adjacent, I guess. There's a lot of good things that Pokemon like Gastrodon can do. I'm super thrilled to see what we can do with it in the combination with the Gardevoir and the Orthworm, because they form a really nice defensive core of those 3, which I absolutely love. Next up, though, is going to be, now here's where we're getting into like the lowest of the low. And by the way, Gastrodon was 11 points. We have a total of 12 points left right now for 3 more Pokemon, and we can go up to 4 more Pokemon maximum, but I decided to go with 3. That's because my speed tiers right now, they kind of suck. My speed tier goes from Cinderace and Roaring Moon at 119 all the way down to Glimmora, which is like 86 or 84. So yeah, not great. Instead of that, I decided to say, you know what? A good speed tier here would be 105. And I don't have a ghost type, so I'm going to go ahead and grab Mismagius. Now, this Pokemon has a lot of really good coverage options. It has an ability in Levitate, which is fantastic, has access to a solid special attacking stat, can do a lot for a team, and really force opposing normal types or dark types to come. And my team handles those really well with the Iron Hands, and of course with the Cinderace, and decently well, I'd say, with the Roaring Moon. So I have a lot of options there. It doesn't get momentum, which kind of hurts. Everything on my team right now either gets like momentum or hazards, which is really, really critical, except for this Pokemon here, which not great, but it's not meant to do that. It's meant to come in, click buttons, and just do really big damage with its powerful stab, Shadow Balls, or Hexes, or whatever the case might be. So I do appreciate what Mismagius can do quite a bit, and that thing was 7 points. So it was pretty pricey there, but I do think it is a solid Pokemon for me to have on this roster. Our next mon, I was debating between a couple options. I could have just used the remaining 5 points right away, but I felt like I kind of wanted to grab a Pokemon that was still new. At this point in time, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 new Pokemon, with a couple Pokemon I got buffs, like the Gastrodon, and of course the Mismagius. I feel like got a couple buffs as well, just the way the generations played out. So I said, you know what? We'll get another new Pokemon here. That's going to be Squawkabilly. All of them. We have all 4 colors. I know some have different abilities and everything like that, and at the end of the day, I'm not thrilled with this pick, but it's got a good speed. I believe it's like 92 or something like that, which is good because it kind of breaks the gap even more between the Glimmora and the Mismagius. But it also has access to like Guts and Hustle, and those can be really, and Intimidate as well, which are all really good abilities. It has access to U-Turn. It can break through really well with like things like Brave Bird, and I feel like in general, Squawkabilly is just a solid Pokemon to have at this price. 4 points is not bad at all for a Pokemon that is a normal type, that has access to a ground immunity. So it has 2 immunities in Ghost and Ground, which is valuable. It's a flying type, and with this powerful attacking moves like Brave Bird, it can do a lot of damage with Hustle boosted Brave Birds. And then finally, for our final one, what am I going to go with? Well, it's 1 point. I can go with something like Dracloak or whatever, which is like below average. I could have tried to find something like a really cheap web setter, but it just didn't feel right. I said, you know what? This last Pokemon, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with Terra Flying and Terra Dark Roaring Moon, so I should probably go with a good 1 pointer that can be offensive. And I was seeing this Pokemon, I said, how on earth is this Pokemon available right now? Our final pick for 1 point is Pikachu. Pikachu will have Terra Fairy and Terra Electric. This thing can hold a Light Ball. It can hold a Light Ball, and it has access to immunities. This thing is nuts. I do not understand how this Pokemon is still around. I'm thrilled about it. It can hit really hard. It's got good speed. Light Ball boosted attacks are going to be insane, especially if they're Terra Fairy or Terra Electric boosted on top of that. That's nutty. The reason I decided to go with Terra Fairy specifically is because I have access to Surf and to Grass Knot to break through Pokemon like Gastrodon, opposing Gastrodons or Quagsires or whatever the case may be, and opposing ground type Pokemon. I didn't feel like Terra Ice was good because it's a terrible defensive typing, and with Pikachu being frail enough as is, it'll die to pretty much anything, especially because I'm running Light Clay or Light Orb, right? Rather, Light Ball most of the time. So I said, you know what? I might as well take advantage of this chance to get a good Fairy type, which will help me break through opposing dragons, because I have no real way to break through those dragon types outside of like I think it's Disarming Voice it gets, or Draining Kiss. Either way, that's not strong enough. So having access to Terra Fairy and Terra Electric on Pikachu is insane. I think this team is really well balanced, has good speed at the top end, good speed at the low end, has access to a lot of different ways it can play, whether it's going to be Trick Room with the Gardevoir and through the Iron Hands and Earthworm and Gastrodon play as well, but it can also do good in a very fast-paced game. It has access to a lot of removal in the form of the Squawkabilly, the Glamora, and the Serena, which is nice. Amazing hazard options with 3 users of Spikes and Stealth Rocks, which is crazy to think about. I think this Pokemon team is fantastic, definitely one of the best out there. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like on the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel as well. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. These videos will be going up every single Friday, so make sure to come back again on Friday the 10th, I believe it'll be, of February. Today is Saturday the 11th. I'm recording this. Friday the 17th, excuse me. Friday the 17th, our first game is going to be going up. We played against, oh my god, who do we play against? I'm trying to remember. I'm blanking so hard. I've already played the game. The trash Bishmi. We played against Bishmi already, and that game was crazy. So make sure to come back for that battle. I am super excited for it, guys. The season's gonna be fantastic. And again, I really appreciate all the support. If you guys want to help the channel grow, then make sure to leave a like, of course, and comment your thoughts on the team down below. What are some strengths, what are some weaknesses that you've noticed? For me, the biggest weakness is going to be the lack of knockoff. I wish we had access to more knockoff on this team, especially stab physical knockoff. But hey, it is what it is. Honestly, there's so many good things with this team that you can't really count all the good things, but I think a lot of the weaknesses are going to be patched up by the skill and the power of Iron Valiant. That's just one of the best Pokemon in the entire format right now, and the fact that it made it this far down to me is just insane. It's so much good things come from having a Pokemon like Iron Valiant. I do want to give a big thank you as well to our YouTube channel members. If you want to become a channel member, you can do so by clicking on the link, the join button down below. It would mean a couple of things. You get access to shouts in every video, so shout out to our channel members. Our level 1s are going to be Liv, Eric, Zeke, and Tex. Our level 2 is Tone. Our level 3s are Sully and Tiger BDC. So shout out to everyone here. We have people that are coming up on almost 20 months of channel membership. So thank you guys so much for the support. Really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys all next time.